For 2 days, March 18th through the 20th, Pace University in New York City was the site of the 2011 Left Forum. The Left Forum is a series of annual seminars founded by the Democratic Socialists of America. Their theme, Towards a Politics of Solidarity. Organizers say this year's theme is the result of leftists, progressives, unions, and radicals feeling the Obama administration has left them politically fragmented. Here are comments from the forum.
Let me simply say that if you study the history of the American labor movement and you see what happened with a once great trade union, the United Auto Workers, that led every important reform struggle from the New Deal through the 60s. And you see how a union which once had completely organized the automobile industry, and then decided that because they had the big three, that they did not need to be concerned about the small mom and pop auto part shops, which required a lot of time, a lot of effort, were very difficult to organize. That allowing that to develop was the first step in a process that ends where we have it today, where they have lost the industry and they are trying desperately to hold on to some piece of what they once had. And if we do not figure out how to organize charter schools, and if we are not successful in doing that, we will end up in the same place as the auto workers. So there is no more key question before us as a union and as a broader labor movement with regard to education than how we approach charter schools and our ability to organize them. It is hard, difficult work. Having spent a year and a half now at the UFT leading our effort in this regard, I can tell you that organizing a charter school is like organizing Walmart. This is not traditional public sector organizing. You have people who moved into the charter school world specifically because they wanted to get at teacher unions, specifically because they want to have an alternative system of public education which is not union. But it is an absolutely crucial battle that we must face. And that goes back, I think, to defending the public character of education. The battle has to be to organize those schools. If those schools are organized, do you think Walmart's going to be pouring money into them? The battle has to be to organize them, and it has to be about the fact that they need to be real public schools. They can't be private schools being paid for by the public. Let me just, yeah, I'll get into just a second. At the UFT website, I invite you all to go look at this horrible thin contract for Green Dot. This is a contract that has in it teacher majority committees that decide budget, that decide hiring, that decide professional development, that decide who does after-school work, who gets out of the classroom. There is no important decision in that school that is not decided by a committee that has majority teachers. And so, yes, it doesn't have 5 pages of regulation on how you do per-session jobs, because you don't need it if the teachers, democratically elected representatives of the teachers, are making that kind of decision. When did we become a movement that thinks that workers' control of the workplace is something we have to fight as opposed to something we move forward?
By the way, just a brief comment. I know people. Where is the fight against mayoral control?
Thank you.
I want
all this in.
One of the things that characterizes the American education system historically, and I know, as Santiago said, if those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. One of the things that characterized the historical education movement in the United States was the separation of direct political control from the education system. The reason for that was because, and the labor movement said, we don't want these phony baloney politicians running our schools. We want schools, up until the 6th grade, by the way. They were not interested in anything beyond that. I learned that from Michael Katz. But we want to have a real voice in it, and we don't want that to be controlled by the mayor. Now, every time somebody new gets nominated around the country, elected, the first thing they say is, I think we ought to go to mayoral control. So it's not just a New York City issue anymore. This guy has taken over. He's shown the way for many other people. Chicago? Yeah, Chicago, no, and it's going around, New Orleans, it's going around the country. We can reverse that. I want to say, frankly, I'm for the position that on charter schools, they are ratty and should be abolished. At the same time, we should organize them. I agree with that position.